Carl Newman is the president of the Northwest Insurance Council. The Northwest Insurance Council is a nonprofit public education and media relations trade association funded by member insurance companies and other insurance organizations. Carl is here today to talk about what consumers should know about wind damage. And this year, Carl, we've had a few windstorms, most recently in December. What should consumers really know about their policies when it comes to wind?
There's really great news when it comes to wind damage. Wind is covered under your homeowner's policy, subject to your deductible, which is usually a few $100s. And when it comes to wind, anything that's damaged by the wind that's part of your home is covered. If a tree comes down on your house, whether it's your tree or a neighbor's tree, that's covered under your homeowner's policy. And I think there's some misunderstandings there for folks, because I think people equate it to auto insurance. If my car runs into yours, then my auto insurance pays. That's because I was negligent in some way because I ran into you. That's the liability piece of it. Homeowner's policy, damage from trees, is under the property side of it, meaning that you have to prove your neighbor negligent or your neighbor's tree on your house comes under your insurance.
Now, what about wind can consumers do to prevent their homes from being damaged? What can they do? Can they put some things in place to prevent wind damage?
It's important to make sure that the shell of your home is solid. Basically, replace your roof when you need to. Replace your siding when you need to. Be sure you caulk around the windows. Some of those types of things that just help your home be better able to withstand the wind. And last December, the Hanukkah Eve windstorm was huge in this area. And there were great news on that, 42,500 claims. And they had adjusters from out of state, hundreds of them, working over weekends through the holidays, away from their families, getting people back on their feet. And only 32 complaint files were opened at the Commissioner's office as a result of those 42,500 claims. It was just a stellar performance on the part of the insurance companies.
What are some false assumptions about wind that consumers might have?
Well, when it comes to wind damage, if let's say, for example, you have a tree that falls, it does not hit your house. If it takes out your fence, the fence is covered. If it falls in the open and does not damage any structures, there is no coverage for that.
So you have to remove the tree yourself.
Right.
You have to pay for all of that.
If it falls on a structure, an insured structure, whether that's a fence or a detached garage or your house, then the tree removal is part of your coverage. You're not insuring the land, you're only insuring the buildings on the land, if that makes sense, and any liability related to something happening on the land. But the trees, the grass, the dirt, that's nature, and the policy covers only damage to your home and to your actual structures.
What is some advice you have for consumers about reading their policies? Do we really spend enough time going over them, the average consumer?
The average consumer probably doesn't realize that this is a contract. You signed it, the company signed it. And you both agreed that these things are covered for this amount of money, these things are excluded. So you need to know what those exclusions are. It's very important to do that. You could probably read through it in an hour or so. It's not going to be exciting novel type reading. You'd probably rather watch a movie. But this is very important for your financial security to make sure that you've got enough coverage. Not too much, not too little, but the right coverage for your family.
Are insurance companies doing a better job of putting everything in layman's terms? I know that contracts can get kind of tricky for people. Boy, try to read a home mortgage.
Right. Well, in Washington, the state law requires what's called an easy read policy, which means it's got to be written in plain English. So there's not a lot of legal jargon in your policy. Again, it's not entertaining to read it, but it's important, and most people can get through that. Highlight the areas where you have questions. Call your agent, call your company. Make sure you understand what that contract covers so that when a claim happens, you know what to expect. The other quick thing I would add is when it comes to homeowners insurance, consider taking a higher deductible. Save your insurance for the big stuff. Take a higher deductible, save some money on your annual premiums, and cover the little stuff yourself. Save that insurance both for your auto and your home for big losses so that you're able to have a more affordable policy going forward.
How does the Northwest Insurance organizations, how do they stack up against the rest of the United States?
I would say, looking at that windstorm last year, they did an absolutely outstanding job. And I don't, of course, work in any other area of the country. I'm probably a bit biased, but I think the companies and the adjusters in this area are A+.
Now, are there more resources here in Washington State than other areas of the country for dealing with problems, consumer problems, questions that might arise?
Typically, companies will staff up to cover the policyholders in any given area. And then if there's a disaster in a certain area, such as our windstorm last year, they'll bring claims adjusters from other areas. Claims adjusters from this area spent a lot of time in the Southeast helping the Katrina victims. And so it tends to be an area where they can readjust resources to cover serious issues.
Okay, let's talk about resources, phone numbers and websites. Do you have any that you can give us that consumers can go to for more information on, be it wind damage, flood damage, fire damage?
Great place to start is our website, nwinsurance.org. It's loaded with great information. There's a good search engine, and there's right on the front page there are resources for disaster preparation, including a link to free downloadable home inventory software that resides on your hard drive. It's not stored anywhere else. You can fully control that data. And that's really important to make sure you've got an up-to-date home inventory. In case you have a claim, you just hand that to your adjuster. It makes that claim go much faster.
Anything you want to add that I haven't asked?
I just want to thank you for the opportunity to help your viewers understand this very important topic.
Carl Newman, President of the Northwest Insurance Council, thanks for being a guest on Northwest Notebook.
Thank you.